I was in the Israeli Air Force. Basically, after you finish up the course, you go to some unit. You kind of like choose, but basically they choose you. And eventually there I developed a missile defense system. So it was more on the tech side of it, being a team leader.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Meet Demi Ben-Ari, co-founder and CTO of Panorays. Demi started his military service in the IDF Elite Programming course in Mamram, afterwards serving in Ofek for 7 years, the software unit of the IAF, where he developed a missile defense system and was in charge of various intelligence and security-related tasks during his service. After being a senior data engineer at Windward, Demi helped co-found Panorays and serves as a CTO, responsible for managing the company's technical infrastructure, responding to marketplace developments related to third-party security, and directing the company's analyst relations program, amongst many other things. Demi Ben-Ari, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders.
Hello, thank you very much, Michael.
I had the honor of doing my first home COVID test as I entered your offices.
Yes, indeed.
Which I think just shows the strength of the culture in the company, and I think it's amazing. So thank you
very much for
putting me through the experience. But now that I know that we're both safe, I'm really excited to have this conversation. Get to know you better. You know, we're sitting in Panorays. You just announced an incredible fundraising for your third-party security company, and you've been there for 5-6 years. It's been
it's almost like 5.5 years, I think. Kind of crazy to look back.
Incredible. Okay, but besides Panorays, you know, I don't feel like I'm talking to a traditional CTO, because the conversations we've had leading up to this episode didn't really revolve only around Panorays. They also revolved around, you know, your own personal journey, your outlook on how you choose the people that you work with, the background you're coming from. So I'd love to get to know you better over these 20 minutes. So
awesome.
Take me back a little bit in time, you know, Army, pre-Army. Who are you, Demi?
Okay, so I'm Demi, like I said. I actually came here to Israel from a country called Georgia, not the state in the US. And I came here when I was like around 6.5. And means also like coming to a new country and trying to get yourself like in general around and knowing people, etc. So I think it was the first initial like interaction that I've had with different kinds of people. And it kind of went through all of my life. In general, I can say the same thing about school, high school, afterwards in the military. I was in the IDF, like most of the people here in Israel, in Mamram course, the elite programming course, and basically the whole I think path that I've had in the initial stage of the military was 6 years. It's 3 mandatory years that you do, also the course, and then afterwards serving in the military. And it's doing programming, like you said, from the technology background. There, I was in the Israeli Air Force. Basically, after you finish up the course, you go to some unit. You kind of like choose, but basically they choose you. And eventually there I developed a missile defense system. So it was more on the tech side of it, being a team leader. And afterwards I asked to stay 2 extra years to be in a role that kind of like takes all of that I've learned at the place that I was at, and I actually like developed a system and kind of like distribute that across the whole unit. So I shifted to a team that actually gave services around open source and Java to around like 250 developers.
Wow.
And doing a lot of projects that I wanted to do as a team lead and also as a tech lead, and never had a chance to actually get to that, especially when you don't have time and you need to manage people and do different kinds of things. So I developed a training system to the unit itself that actually like went on afterwards. And I think 6 or 7 years after I was also kind of left the military and started working in the industry, I learned that my initial course, the base course that I did in the military, came to my unit, actually took the training sessions that I've created and took that to the basic course again. It's like a loop. Yeah, and it was kind of nice. And also during the military, my kind of like intent was to be able to work with the best people possible. Okay, like everybody wants to work among great people, and that's the way to achieve the greatest goals in your life, at least in my like perspective. And it's a hard thing to actually achieve in the military because eventually people end up there because they have to.
Right.
Okay, there are great, amazing people, really smart people, but still, you have X amount of time that you serve in the military, and then basically you leave. So one of my greatest passions were actually to create a place that you come to work in the morning and you actually enjoy doing all the things that you're creating together with great people. That's why I wanted to found a company.
Amazing. Now, when I look today at the landscape and I ask a lot of founders, why would you want to build a company? And so I think that there's two main answers that I hear, and yours is not one of those two. One answer is probably, it's very lucrative. There's a very, very big potential upside. I'm seeing people make billions of dollars, and we both know that that's a very, very unlikely scenario. And if you want to make more money, you should go work for somebody else, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And the other one is that you get to solve a problem that you're so deeply passionate about that you can't sleep at night. Yet you're telling me that there's this third vertical that you're looking at, which is actually, it's all about choosing the people that you want to work with and the people that are surrounding you in the day-to-day.
Yes, and I highly agree with that with practically everything that I do in my life, because I learn from all of the people that actually surround me. Okay, since day one, I think that it started from my parents up until today with my partners, all of the people that we actually hired to be a part of our journey. And I think this is the most important part. Also, let's look on the entrepreneurial, I would say, community here in Israel, which is amazing. Again, because people love to help. And once you do the smallest outreach to anybody, I would say that 95% of the people would immediately respond being helpful, okay? And being really communicative and helping you out with practically everything that you would like. So because of that, taking the chance of actually learning from all of the people around you is vital to actually create something that is great. And again, you looked on product, technology, all of that surrounding around also making money. It's around all of the people. Demi is doing practically nothing at Panorays, okay? All of the other people that we have here with us in the company, they are doing everything, okay? And us creating that infrastructure of people to hire more people and bring on to this journey more people, this is, I think, the key success factor, I would say, to any like successful product, company, and even sales.
Take me back to the founding of Panorays.
Yeah.
As you're thinking to yourself on your priorities, you're taking on the role of Chief Technology Officer and leading the R&D team in a company that is very deep technology and R&D focused. What are the types of people that you're looking at and you're saying, these are the types of people that I want to work with? So what conviction leads you to, what are the types of personalities that you're looking to create in this family?
Okay, cool. So I will go a step back, only one step back. When I left the military, I traveled with my wife. It was great. And then I came back and started working at what I thought was a small company. Okay, I started working in a company called Windward. And why? Again, because I knew that I was lacking from my military service some aspect of the business side of it. Okay, because again, we're all product people, R&D people, like from 8200 or Ofek, the unit that I also served at in the Israeli Air Force. And we're really involved of building things, but we're managing like virtual money because this is eventually somebody else's budget. And once you go again to the, I would say, commercial industry and actually try to sell something, this is a skill set that we're lacking. And I said, I need to go to a smaller company to actually learn that. And then I would be able to actually found my own company.
So the small company is the one that you found yourself.
Yes. And it was quite small, but not too small. Again, looking back, it was kind of different, but I learned a lot. And then after a year and a half, which I was involved again, mostly in the technology side of it. Okay, I wasn't a salesperson or anything like that. So then I had an understanding that if I want to actually found my own company, the next best thing to learn would be to actually do that. Okay, and a great opportunity actually came up. Going back to what we said, people. I knew Matan and Mayo, my two co-founders, the CEO and the COO, for right now I know them more than 16 years, I would say,
Wow.
from the Israeli Air Force. So 16. It boils down to connections.
Wow.
You can say that about your also like service. Knowing all of the people,
Yeah.
all of your surroundings is one of the best benefits that you can take from your military service.
Sure.
And that's it. This is the first choice that you need to do about people, partners, right? Because eventually the idea, although it haven't changed much, will change. Okay,
Yeah.
usually. The product will change, you will add more functionality to that, your customer base will change. What won't change is the essence of the company that you're forming. Starts off with the founders, with the people actually that start off with the idea.
Yeah.
Everything will pivot, things will change, you will grow the company if it's successful, and I wish everybody that. But eventually it boils down to the people that you form that.
Right.
And then the next cycle, the next circle, I would say, of people that you will hire. It will be the core team, okay? All of the engineers that we're speaking about, the first salespeople, your like eventually future management, maybe, or maybe like tech leadership. And these are the people that will form the company with you. You know why? Because they will build the second circle and the third circle, because eventually when you grow, and this is again something that I've learned, you can't control that continuously. Okay? And the people that you hire and the circles that you build, again, this will be in your company and outside your company with all of the business relationships that you form. This is what will be the success or the failure of your company.
Now, when you're talking about people in your community, where's the importance? Is it in the way that you're running projects together? Is it in the water fountain conversations? Is it in the the Slack messages and the culture that you're building there? Where do you distill it to?
I would say the annoying answer would be everything. Okay, because eventually the interaction that you form, the time that you spend with the people, and what you learn from them and learn about yourself, this is the best way to be able to understand all of the verticals that you've mentioned. Like in technology, when you do different kinds of projects with people, it takes time. It's not as a one-off that you do a hackathon of a day and that's it. You understand that the person that you're speaking with is a genius. You need to know that working with him, the same thing that would be in an R&D team, is pleasant, and that he can work also or she can work also as a team member, because eventually the team creates the achievements and all of the goals that you want to achieve as a company. And if you don't have that, it will be much harder to understand that. Let's look on the business opportunity side. We spoke about the communities or maybe even like groups inside your company, but what about outside? Again, the interactions that we've had, okay, all of the things that our friends and our like external circles, these types of interactions and communication create opportunities.
Right.
And eventually, once you will be able to take advantage of these opportunities, everything will grow. You will make mistakes like everybody, okay? But you will succeed more because basically you try.
Right.
And eventually, when you end up with this kind of infrastructure of people, okay, people to consult with, I would say even, other peer entrepreneurs, okay? Or even when you're speaking about the startup industry, etc., investors. People look at investors as money, right? You want to raise money, but your goal is not to raise money, it's to build a company. It's another, I would say, tool to be able to do whatever you want to achieve. And I look at all of the VCs, investors, as I don't know, guidance, people that actually seen a lot of companies. I don't always like want to raise money from them. I want to learn from their experience. And I think that most people should actually do so to be able to, I would say, scale themselves.
Right. Looking back at these 5-6 years at Panorays,
Yes.
what surprised you? You said you're going to build a company. One of the main motivators is to be able to work with the best people that you can find around you and from your network. But what surprises you along this journey? Because you're taking on a pretty significant role of a co-founder and CTO.
Yes. So I would say it's a surprise, but looking back, it's not really a surprise. The amount of things that we were able to achieve only because of the connections with all of the people that we've had, both in technology and also in the world of like doing actual sales and selling the product and creating value for our customers, is from the people, again, that I've interacted in the past. I would start from the first initial investments in the company. For every like funding round, that all of the people that we know as founders and people are kind of connected, okay? Distribution channels and marketing, all of that, and creating a pipeline of customers, people you know. again, if you want to create a pipeline that is unknown, is again through people that you know that were able to do that in different companies. And eventually it boils down to everything has a connection. I would even say a deal that kind of like was closed, I don't know, like 2 years ago. If you look back on the trail of what led to that deal, was around 4 different interactions that we've had. A person that used to serve with us that eventually ended up of me trying to hire them. And then afterwards, when they said no, they connected me to their CISO, yada. All of these kind of things are like an aggregate of all of the things that you create as a baseline as a person. And that's why it's really important for me also as a person to create these kind of interactions, even not for myself, for my friends, doing developer communities.
Right.
Okay.
So I was just about to ask, how do you cultivate that motivation to form these meaningful connections? Because you never know when they'll be relevant, both on an emotional level, but also on a professional level.
I agree. So if you're doing that as a motivation to basically do business, it won't be as natural.
Right.
Okay. I really like doing that. I like talking to people. I like helping people. If I could do that as a day job and not worry about money, I would literally do that from morning to dusk. But basically, eventually, all of the interactions that we're doing, especially in the developer community, this is something that I like. I like speaking in front of people because even specifically, I started from the world of technology and then also started doing that in the entrepreneurial world. I would give the examples. Okay. I started doing that in the military. It's a pretty confined community and ecosystem, and it gets you up until a certain point because it's eventually like interacting with different units in the military. When I left the military, I founded a couple of developer communities by myself because again, sharing knowledge is something that I like. Okay, it's giving lectures, doing things, talks, tech talks. Again, why? Because this is the best stage that you can give for yourself to get feedback.
Right.
Especially in Israel,
Yeah.
where people are straightforward and they're really like blunt, honest, and they will tell you why are you doing the wrong thing and what you should be doing. And this is invaluable. I think you can learn a lot from that. And I founded a developer community focused on big data, data science, and DevOps. It's called Big Things. I think we're over like 6,500 people right now, doing a lot of like monthly meetups, etc. COVID came, everything became virtual, as you know. And also Google asked me to found another community called GDG Cloud, the Google Developer Group of Cloud. I really like that. So it's not something that I do to create business, but it's something that I love to do, like what you're doing with the podcast, which is amazing. Yeah, and eventually creating another distribution channel. Also, Meir and myself, my other co-founder, the COO, we founded the Ofek Alumni Association. Okay, much like the 8200 Alumni Association, which comes to help in the entrepreneurial and tech world to all of the alumni.
Right.
And again, it's a great way to make connections, to do the mingling that you would like to do to create business opportunities.
Incredible.
And that feeds itself.
I love it. Take me back to your childhood a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, what sparks your curiosity? Are you an engineer, by trade from elementary school, or were there other things that, that you were just curious about the world?
Yeah, I really love coding, okay? Something I really miss, I must say. But we achieved a certain point in the company that I'm doing some like other things. But starting what actually like taking back to the childhood, I like taking things apart. Okay, if it's toys or relationships or conversations, like literally dismantling things to know how things tick. And it helps me to do the next steps of trying to understand different kinds of people and maybe even create these interactions that we're speaking about. Because then once you understand what motivates people, you will be able to leverage this ability much better and find the connection actually of why are they doing all of the other things that they're doing?
I love it. And if you look today, there you go. If you look breaking your office.
No worries.
If you look today at Panorays or personal life or the relationships that you're building, where do you gain your inspiration, to come and meet me here at 8 o'clock in the morning and then go on to a full day full of energy running this company?
Boils down to people. Okay. Again, like I said, it started off with my parents, which inspired me to do kind of things, a lot of things in the world of interaction and being like communicative to people. It goes on to my wife and my 2-year-old daughter also.
Amazing.
And all the people that surround us. Eventually it boils down to people doing things. And most of the people actually that know me will know that this is the way that I always leverage all of the abilities of my friends, okay? And the friends and the people that we choose also to surround ourselves with are our essence also. You choose the friends, the people that you want to interact on the day-to-day basis with you to be the good feeling that will help you to create new things.
Incredible. And if you had to choose a few words to describe yourself, or if I were to ask anybody here, who's Demi?
I actually didn't know how to answer that. I went on to asking my wife. And
I love that.
yes, and she will be able to actually like say that in the most straightforward way of describing myself in 3 words. And that is like I just wrote it down just to be precise. So it boils down to social, and it's decisive and warm. Okay, and I think it kind of like assembles the whole way of thinking. And I agreed with her highly because she is much smarter than me. And eventually it boils down to all of the interactions that we're creating. And I can see that from like when I look at myself from the side, that this is again what drives me and what makes me tick and what makes me like to come in the morning, like you said, to interact with all of the people that I can and eventually create good things with them.
Demi, toda rabba. Thank you very much for the inspiration. Thank you for welcoming me to your beautiful offices, and I can't wait to see what happens with Panorays. But even more importantly, I'm just excited to continue forming this relationship and being a part of the community and getting the inspiration for how important it is having the right people around you. So thank you
very much. And I would like to also thank you of creating this thing, because this is amazing. This goes to the mantra of like distributing good. So keep on going there.
Toda rabba.
Thank you very much.